welcome to Clima Conversation Podcast, episode 4. So for those who don't know me, I'm Sofia, carbon consultant here at Clima, and today I'm joined by Guy Dickinson again. So Guy is CEO and founder of Clima.
Let's keep going.
Sorry.
I am the founder of me, so that's fine.
Yeah,
Carry
exactly. It works. So welcome to the
Thank
podcast, Guy. Great to have you again. So I think today our topic, the things that we're going to discuss is around businesses and why carbon matters for businesses. So I think,
Start there.
Yeah, start there.
Look, I think we've covered a few things. We've covered the carbon markets. We've covered why it's important to do it. We know why it's important. There's a big goal to talk about, but ultimately businesses use a lot of power and energy. They function all day. You know, we go to work, they power what we shop with, they do all sorts of things, they manufacture, they go from all sorts of different extremes. And if I think about where carbon comes from, it comes from the use of energy. At the end of the day, if you're using energy, you are expelling carbon in some way, shape or form. And we've mentioned before that customers are expecting businesses to do more. Employees are expecting businesses to do more. What we're finding is, in general, service-based businesses are more willing to get on this journey because it's cheaper, because they don't use a lot of energy to manufacture goods. But we have a huge spectrum of customers that we've worked with, from butchers all the way into car manufacturers, where they see a valid reason for them to align their values towards a better climate outcome. They, in general, want it to be some way accretive to their business. Yeah. So this concept of greenwashing is probably really interesting to get into.
Yeah,
and I know
think
it wasn't
a lot
on the
of
agenda.
Our listeners are going to be interested in hearing that.
And look, I've always taken a very strong view on this, that greenwashing is, put simply, don't bullshit anyone. Don't lie about what you're doing. And if what you're doing is not good enough to talk about it, please don't talk about it. You've not earned that right. And so we've built a business to start with by saying, be proud of what you're doing, but make sure it's a genuine mission, a genuine journey that you're on. And you don't need to go from 0 to 100. And I think that's what's resonated with a lot of businesses. Yeah. And you would have spoken to a lot of them, and you would have seen different views around whether they want to be 100% carbon neutral. I think what I hear most often when you're talking to customers, I find this really interesting, is you actually say out loud, you don't need to be carbon neutral. Let's not go there yet. Like, let's just
everyone
work
is
on...
just, I want a label. And it's like, well, no, just take a moment to understand, see how you can improve.
And so how often does someone come to you and say, I want a label, and then actually you talk them out of it?
Yeah, well, it happens all the time, actually, because once you start, explaining how it works and, the fact that they actually have to have a genuine impact on the environment, it makes them realize, like, oh, you know what? I might not need the label now. I'm just going to start by working on my emissions, then investing in these projects, and then at the end, maybe the label will come.
So there's some really interesting, if we talk about businesses, there's some really high-level numbers that might be interesting for the audience. So one of those is, if you're a service-based business, you're a law firm or something like that, I think we've worked out from the scope of companies for which we've done this work, it's around 5 tonnes per employee to offset, to roughly, very roughly, but just as a starting point. And then if you think about a big retailer who is offsetting their entire product, they're offsetting, maybe 100 stores, 200 employees, it can go up to 60 tonnes per employee. So the difference between a service-based business and a manufacturer is material. So you really have to applaud those bigger companies that have taken that mission on, and they've taken it on without being asked to. One of those customers, I think, that resonates very strongly with me is MJ Bale. Yeah. And we get to engage with his customers, which I love. We get to help him, purchase the right type of carbon units. And he's actually come to us because he wants to engage his audience. He actually sees this as part of his mission.
It's part of the narrative.
Yeah, and how many of the businesses that you talk to are there to educate their consumers? Almost all, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they sometimes do it, behind the door. And it's like, well, you should show them. Like, you should educate them, encourage them to do the same thing.
And what tools, do you want to explain what tools we have to do that?
Yeah. So for the engagement solution, it's basically a voting solution. It can be a widget, it can be a QR code. And basically the way it works is that well, I think it can be the end consumer, or then it can also be their employees. They basically get the option to choose for the carbon projects that the organization is supporting. So then you usually have 3 options, then you click, and then we'll offset or we'll retire the offsets based on that voting percentage.
And that choice, yeah. And I think the reason that's important is every time someone clicks on a button, they've learned about a project. And that's really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get people to understand that this is a great asset class. Yeah. It's here to do a lot of good. It is going to change the way companies pollute, because if this is what they're using to benchmark the cost of pollution, the more you raise the cost of pollution, the quicker they're going to transition out of polluting. And look, there's also a lot of evidence to state that companies that do use carbon markets internally as an internal pricing mechanism do transition quicker towards carbon neutrality as well.
Yeah.
So, Sofia, I think, we sort of got to the bottom of why businesses should do it.
Well, how about like a final question, or what would be your advice to these companies that are hesitating about starting their climate journey, or don't know where to start, or those who have but don't know how to continue? Yeah,
look, I think first of all, you've got to be curious, right? And I think everyone's curious in this space. I'm still curious every day, and that's all I do. And I think that curiosity is okay. It's okay not to have all the answers.
Yeah.
But it's not okay to hide from it. That's going to destroy your business in a very short form. And I think when people actually say, "Oh, I could do this myself," well, they haven't. So if you haven't, there's a reason that you haven't. Be brave. Ask a question. Step out.
Ask for help.
Talk to any company you like about it. We're not really. What we care about is that people will come on the journey. We know at the end of the day that the right advice will get to you. And that's what's most important, is that it's a genuine journey. You've asked the questions. Don't rush into it, but do get started.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Final message, getting started. Well, thank you so much, Guy.
Thanks, Sofia.
See you in the next episode.
Excellent. Thanks.
Thank you.